Yo, Benny! I don't think he's home, man. Benny, man, yo. Yo, what's up, everybody? I'm MC Savant from the Kankasaurs. You can catch me on funnyordie.com/Kankasaurs, K-A-N-K-S-O-R-Z, you know what I'm saying? But right now, it's all about Benny TV. Yo, because my boy Benny the Gagoots got his own show. And I just want to give a big shout out to Benny. And in honor of that, I'm going to do a dope-ass freestyle, man. So he's got to figure out what rhymes with Benny. 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 What rhymes with Benny? Benny. What rhymes with Benny? Benny. He's in the Serengeti. He's hunting for a Yeti and he's always on the ready. And Benny's always merry when he's eating his spaghetti. But right now he's in the desert, so his palms are kind of sweaty. His good friend Freddie, he brought him that Ben and Jerry. And Yetis, they love the Ben and Jerry. So Benny caught that Yeti and we all threw confetti. Yeah, Benny. Benny TV, baby.
Yeah, Benny TV,
Benny
baby.
TV, baby!
Yeah.
Woo! Every time it's like going on a roller coaster.
It is.
Yeah, roller coaster time.
Roller coaster time. It's tonight, big show tonight.
Big show. Welcome to Benny TV.
Welcome.
We're your hosts, Benny Rizzuti, Ryan Rizzuti. That's how you introduce people in a show. We got a big show tonight. Why don't you tell them about the show tonight?
Well, tonight we're going to talk about the Academy Awards. We're going to talk about the recent Academy Awards that was Sunday, and then we're going to talk about movies in general.
We're going to talk about movies.
We're going to talk about Best Picture winners.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Best Picture winners and the best films that should have won Best Picture and the films that did win that year.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Why are you saying it like we didn't rehearse this?
I'm kidding. I'm teasing with you.
Yeah, you didn't know.
I know.
I locked you in a bathroom for 8 hours last week.
Well, yeah, you know, at my age now, I'm a little senile. I forget things.
Yeah, you forgot.
From there to here.
I locked you in a bathroom, and I brought a bunch of people here, and we threw
And
a
then
party.
we have some surprises we're going to talk about.
We got some surprises we're going to talk about.
I want to talk about, maybe I should mention this now, and then we'll talk about the...
Okay.
And I'll mention it later, too. I'm going to be part of a roast.
Ooh.
We're roasting.
What's a roast, Dad?
A roast is where a bunch of comedians or performers get together and they trash talk each other and a guest of honor.
Oh, and who's the guest of honor of the roast you will be doing?
The guest of honor is Keith Fitz.
Oh,
good
the
friend
wonderful
of mine.
Keith Fitz.
Who you know.
I've known Keith for a very long time. Keith's
Fun
a great
guy.
guy, fun guy, funny guy. I was really upset when I found out that wasn't his real name. I was really upset. I didn't find that out till recently.
Yeah.
I always assumed his name was Keith Fitz. It's the greatest name.
It is the coolest name.
He's got a key, it fits. It's great.
He plays guitar. Keith plays guitar, and he does
He's a very
comedy.
fun stand-up comedian.
And a very funny, fun guy. It's going to be a fun show. Next week I'll have the flyer, but John Santo from Left to Save
John
Lives
Santo from Left to Save Lives
is going to be on it. Jessica Colazzo.
Jessica Colazzo.
Tim Thompson.
Friend of the show. Both Tim Thompson, also friend of the show.
Friend of the show. It's going to be a wild fun, and it's $15.
$15.
And you get one free drink.
Price of a movie ticket.
Yeah, but with one free drink, which will
that's cheaper than a movie ticket.
Will probably be prune juice, but it's okay.
You're all about the hard sell, Dad. You're all about the hard sell. So that's going to be in 2 weeks. We're going to have a flyer we're going to show next week.
Yeah.
We got some stuff about that we're going to talk about. It's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to be there.
I'm one of the roasters.
That's why you're going to be there. I said that. You're going to be there. You're going to be one of the roasters. I'm going to be in Texas that day.
In Texas?
Yeah, I'm doing some scouting for the Knicks.
Texas?
There's a 7-footer there. They said I got to look at. Yeah. Yeah, I do a lot of things for the. You don't know me and Dolan. We're like this. So we had a fun show tonight. The Oscars was this weekend. It was Sunday.
Sunday, yes.
You watched it partially live.
I watched it partially live. I went in and out. I saw the opening. I saw the first hour or so.
I chose to see How to Train Your Dragon 3 at the time that the Oscars started because, surprisingly, there was a lot of empty seats and there wasn't really anybody there. It was pretty. I don't know why. It was like there was something going on in the world of movies where all the people that would watch movies would be It was very strange. I didn't expect it. But
They were calling it Hollywood's greatest night.
Hollywood's greatest night with a lot of weird guffaws this year.
Yes, yeah, we
With
should.
we'll mention those briefly. This year the Academy did a great job of constantly putting their foot in their mouth.
Throughout, yeah.
Throughout they announced they were going to do a popular film category,
Yes.
pretty much just so their own films could get nominated. The ABC, Disney. Then they took that back after people were upset. Then Kevin Hart was going to host.
Right.
And I think a lot of people know that things happen on the internet caused Kevin Hart to no longer be the host. And they went without a host this year for the first time in like 30 years, something like that.
Yeah, first time without a host.
In a very
For a
long
long
time.
time.
And then they announced they're trying to cut down, make it shorter, make it a little more concise, because sometimes they can get very bloated, very long-winded. It's a very long ceremony. Their idea this year to do that was they're going to take some of the categories that aren't big categories, aren't huge categories, and they're going to condense them to putting them in the commercial breaks.
Right.
And they'll show stuff about the winners during the show very briefly. But they chose 4 categories. 2 of the categories that they chose was Best Cinematography and Best Editing. Those who are watching the show may not know a ton about movies, might not, but you probably know that editing and cinematography, also known as the camera, are the only things you need for a movie. Well, it's not the only things, but they're the 2 most important things that you need to make a movie.
It's pretty much saying I'm going to the shoe store and I'm going to buy shoes without laces and no sole on there.
Yeah, I'm going to sell you a shoe,
Yeah.
but there's no laces.
Right. Yeah.
Your foot goes right through it
Goes through because there's no sole on the bottom.
because there's no sole.
And yeah, that was ridiculous. And then they were going to cut the songs down.
And then they were going to cut the songs down to only the Lady Gaga performance and Kendrick Lamar's performance. And then that got such an uproar that they decided to not do that as well. And there was such an uproar with the cinematography and editing that they decided not to do that. So they just kept announcing things and then not doing it 4 times. And then Kendrick Lamar just withdrew himself from the Oscars altogether. He didn't perform. He just withdrew himself. He said, my song's nominated for Black Panther, but I'm not going to be there.
Wow. Well, I look forward to the Academy Awards, and a lot of people look forward, but then there's always a lot of Academy Awards. You're like, why did they even nominate? Why did this person get nominated for Best Supporting Actor and win? And I'm not talking about this year, but I'm talking about in the past. Why did that person? Why did that movie get? And then there are people that deserve it, and they get snubbed for years.
Oh, yeah.
Who deserve it
All the time.
Yeah, so this year I'd like to mention that Glenn Close.
Glenn Close
I thought
did not win an Academy Award.
7 times, 7 nominations. Great actress.
Always a bridesmaid, never the wife.
Or like a friend of mine said,
The film she was nominated for was called The Wife.
yeah, the wife. That's good. Oh, that's very clever.
Yeah, you didn't even know. You're all upset she didn't win. You didn't even know the name of the movie.
I knew the name of the movie, and her husband is Jonathan Pryce in the movie.
You knew that, but you
And
didn't
I
know
love
the name of it.
Jonathan
You know
Pryce.
who else was in it? Christian Slater. You didn't know that.
No, I didn't know that.
Exactly.
All I know is Glenn Close, but no cigar.
I think mine was better.
And I stole that from my friend Alan Streisfeld. Thank you, Alan.
Thanks, Alan. And from what I saw from the Academy Awards, I watched most of it. I enjoyed it. I think a lot of people that deserve to win finally won. I'm very happy that Alfonso Cuarón got an Academy Award for a film that most people consider a really great film and not Gravity, which Gravity's a great movie. People love Gravity, but I think we both agree Gravity's kind of just feels like a Universal theme park attraction.
It is like a theme park attraction. It's
That
not-
they disguised as a movie, and it made a lot of money because it was cool to see it on a big screen. And I have friends that would argue with me that it was one of the best movies they ever saw because they saw it in IMAX really close to the screen, and it blew their minds.
It was like a Universal. It was like a theme park ride.
Yes.
Where you put on the 3D glasses and you.
It's a fun ride.
Yeah, but that's.
But the movie doesn't really have any substance or anything. And
No.
Alfonso Cuarón is one of the best filmmakers currently making movies. And I'm very happy that he won for Roma, and his film also won Best Foreign Language Film,
Yes.
which means best film in a language that's not English. And it's great. It's a movie that was distributed by Netflix. It's on Netflix, Roma, if you'd like to watch it. And also, I'm very happy that Free Solo, a film that I talked about a couple weeks ago,
Yes.
which was a documentary about Alex Honnold, who free climbed El Capitan, which is a 3,000-foot straight cliff in Yosemite National Park. And he's the first and only person to ever free solo it, which, if you didn't see, Free Solo is climbing without any rope or harness or anyone spotting you, anything like that.
And a film crew was there filming.
There was a
it, too.
film crew. I watched the video this morning about that and how they shot that. They do a lot of remote shooting, and they had to get special equipment, and there was a lot of things because they had to make sure that he couldn't really see them. Like,
Okay.
if he saw them, it could mess with his mindset. And his biggest fear was dying in front of his friends.
Right. Yeah.
He free solo climbed before. When he did it, he never told anyone that he was doing it. He told them, I'm going to do it. He didn't tell them when. He
Right.
would just do it. Because in his mind, if he just died, he died. Hi, Andrew. Andrew says hello.
Hello.
Andrew, we should watch Free Solo. It might be available on the internet. It's great. I'd highly recommend Free Solo.
I know you.
My favorite. It wasn't my favorite documentary of the
Right.
year. It's still Three Identical Strangers, which was not nominated. And don't get me started on
That's
that.
that's what I said about that. You don't know with the Academy.
No,
There was
you don't.
They snub. Why do they snub?
They
some-
snubbed that, and they snubbed the Mr. Rogers documentary, which was a fantastic documentary as well.
And a big
I think you
fan
had
favorite.
three amazing documentaries last year, and only one out of the three got nominated, although it was also an excellent movie
Yes.
and did deserve to win.
Yes, I agree with you, but there's certain things they snub certain things. But now, believe we're both happy about the animated.
Yes, my
That's
favorite film of last year, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, won Best Animated Film, which is like Best Picture for
And
animated movies.
yes, and I agree.
'Cause it's the best picture.
I saw it and I loved it. I went to a theater. This
You went
old
to
man
a theater?
This old man went to a theater with his son
And saw an animated Spider-Man.
An animated Spider-Man movie, which we did a review on it, and I said it was a comic book. A lot of movies that are based on comic book characters, they say there's a comic book come to life. No, the Into the Spider-Verse
Is a comic book
is a comic book come to life.
In my opinion, it's the best Spider-Man movie ever made. And I have seen every single Spider-Man film in theaters. I want to say the day they came out, every single one. The day or the night. I don't think we saw Spider-Man 2 in nighttime. Pretty sure we saw it daytime.
Right.
All the other ones I saw the night it came out.
Yeah,
But
that's-
Spider-Man 2, and I'm not talking Spider-Man 2, Amazing Spider-Man 2, or Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man Far From Home coming out this July. I'm talking about the original Spider-Man 2 with Alfred Molina.
Yeah, the one where he's Dr. Octopus.
Yes.
And that was one of the first superhero films that came out that critics were saying this is a comic book come to
Yes.
life. That was what, and this Spider-Man movie is my favorite. The Into the Spider-Verse is my favorite. You have to see it. The animation is amazing. It's actually groundbreaking animation.
Yes. That's also available online on digital now.
Now.
So
okay.
go watch it. Most of the movies that were nominated and won are available to watch now. You can watch Bohemian Rhapsody, A Star Is Born, Green Book, which did win Best Picture.
Right.
I think pretty much all of them. The Favorite, which was nominated, which won, Olivia Colman won for Best Actress. Mahershala Ali also won for Green Book. Regina King. I don't think If Beale Street Could Talk is available yet, but it should, and I really do want to see that.
I
was
want
one
to
of the
see
movies
that
I didn't
too.
get a chance to see.
And that is based on a James Baldwin novel, And James Baldwin wrote some wonderful novels. I had read a couple of them when I was in high school. And I'm glad that they took this and made it into a movie. I want to see it as well.
It's from Barry Jenkins, the director of Moonlight, which won Best Picture 2 years ago.
Yes.
And he also won Best Director. And it's his follow-up. And it did not get nominated for Best Picture. He did not get nominated for Best Director. Regina King did win Best Supporting Actress, which is the second time in a row a film he has a supporting actor won an Academy Award, which should show his directing skills because actors win awards when they make movies with him. Like the same thing with Quentin Tarantino, although with Quentin Tarantino, is it Quentin or is it just Christoph Waltz is that great when he's with Quentin? We don't know. They got to make a third movie. If he wins the third time, then Christoph Waltz and Quentin Tarantino is the greatest pairing of all time.
But you have Jonathan Demme back in he won Best Picture, and actors have won for him. Anthony Hopkins and Jodie Foster won for Silence of the Lambs, and Tom Hanks won for Philadelphia.
Yes.
He won, and I don't recall if Philadelphia was nominated for Best Picture. That might have been another one of those.
I don't think Philadelphia was
I don't
nominated.
believe
It might have been, but I know that Tom Hanks won. I don't know if Denzel was nominated.
No, I don't think he was. He was excellent in it.
Denzel was excellent in that film.
Mary Steenburgen is very good in it.
She's very good. And Antonio Banderas is good in it that movie as well.
And Jason Robards, who it's one of his last films.
Yes, he's the employer.
Right, he's the employer, and excellent movie. And that's another director. That's why I bring that up. Is the late Jonathan Demme. He had a thing with the actors seemed to shine when they did movies with him too.
Yeah,
and you know, but okay. So back to Sunday night's Academy Awards. You were mentioning, you said the Green Book won. Some people are not happy with that.
Yes, there is controversy with Green Book. Both of us happen to very much enjoy the movie.
I like it a lot.
If you don't like it, that's your opinion. If you just don't hate us for liking the movie.
Yeah.
But it's entirely up to you to not like the movie. Some people are saying it's the worst Best Picture winner since Crash, which I don't think so. That's probably the Artist or King's Speech, but we'll talk about those later. And yeah, I think that's pretty much everything with the Academy Awards. Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper won Best Song.
They won Best Song.
For Shallow.
And I want to. Spike Lee
did finally win for Best. This was Best Adapted Screenplay.
Adapted Screenplay, yes.
Which, to me, was the highlight of the awards because Samuel L. Jackson was the one who announced the winners.
And that was great. That was awesome.
His reaction to his friend winning an Academy Award was monumental.
He hugged him. He jumped up in the air.
Screamed as he said his name. It was great.
And then Spike jumped up in the air and hugged him. And I thought that was great. I'm a little disappointed because I would like Spike Lee to get the full recognition of a director, to get the special treatment that I'll bring up a director that was snubbed for years and disappointed me was Martin Scorsese.
Yes.
He was and the last time The Aviator went up against $1 Million Baby, and don't get me wrong, $1 Million Baby is an excellent movie, but not a movie I would see more than once.
Yes.
You know, it's depressing. It's sad. The Aviator, on the other hand, I can watch over and over. I like that. And you could see when Clint Eastwood won the award for Best Director and won $1 Million Baby won, you could see that. Martin Scorsese was upset, but he dealt with it. He dealt with it. He applauded. You could see, and then 2 years later, 2 years later comes The Departed, which you loved in the movies. Mm-hmm. I loved, and then everybody, all the critics
loved it in the movies.
All the critics were pushing for Babel. And they were pushing for Babel. And
I was talking about this today, and people have been talking about this more and more recently. They were pushing for Babel. They were talking Babel is the best movie of the generation, blah, blah, blah. It's how many years later now? That was 2006. People now unanimously say Babel's a bad movie.
Even
Unanimously say Babel's a bad movie, and unanimously say Departed is a really good movie.
And now Roger Ebert, the late critic,
Great film.
he was a critic that people respected, one of those critics. He used to push and he used to say, when is the Academy going to recognize Martin Scorsese?
Yes.
And then that year, he was pushing Babel, and he said, I don't feel that The Departed should win Best Picture because Martin Scorsese has made better movies. Well, okay, he's made better movies, that's your opinion, but he didn't win for them, so he should win. And what I'm bringing up is that they gave him a great treatment because when they announced Best Director, the presenters were George Lucas, Francis Coppola, and Steven Spielberg.
Yes.
So you knew something was up. And then they gave him the award, and when Martin Scorsese came up and accepted the award and he went up to the podium, just before he read his speech, he looked over to the three directors and he said, could you read the envelope again? Make sure you didn't make a mistake. Could you just check it again? And it was very funny. He made it very funny, and he won, and then he won Best Picture as well. And as you were saying with other movies, Scorsese's had, in 1980, he made Raging Bull.
Yes.
That lost.
Yes.
Raging Bull lost to, I wrote it down. It lost to Ordinary People, which is still a good movie. I enjoy Ordinary People, but it lost. That was 1980. At the end of in 1989, all the film critics did a list of the greatest film of the decade.
Yes.
Guess what it was?
Well, of course, Ordinary People. You're telling me it wasn't Ordinary People?
I'm sorry, it wasn't Ordinary People. I hate to disappoint you. It was so. Here's the first year of the 80s. Raging Bull!
Yeah, you didn't say it. Raging Bull!
Raging Bull. I'm trying to think if there's a famous line in Raging Bull that...
All right, well, why do you think of that? Yeah. So...
Yes.
Yes. What I find really funny is the fact that, like you said, Roger Ebert said that it wasn't his best film, The Departed.
Right.
It wasn't his best movie. Babel was not... Inarritu's best film. Alex Inarritu, who did Birdman, he directed The Revenant.
Wow.
He's done a lot of really big, great movies. Those films are amazingly better than Babel, with better performances. And then that's another snub is Eddie Redmayne won for Stephen Hawking for The Theory of Everything a few years ago,
yes,
over Michael Keaton as Birdman, in what, in my opinion, was a career-defining performance. It encompassed everything about his entire career in a fantastic film that won Best Picture that year, and it won Best Director and Best Cinematography, and Best Score, Best Screenplay. It swept most of the awards.
Michael Keaton is another one. That's why I said that sometimes I get annoyed, and other people do too. We get annoyed with the Academy Awards because there are certain... Michael Keaton should win.
Yes.
He's been passed over too many times.
Yes.
He should win. Someone that was only nominated, I believe, once, and I get angry that he isn't nominated enough, is Harrison Ford. And I don't know why. Sometimes some of these people are looked at maybe as like a matinee idol type of actor, or not considered, not given the same respect as other actors. Because Harrison Ford wasn't even nominated in the movie 42 for playing Branch Rickey. And I thought that was one of his stellar performances. I thought as Branch Rickey was...
I know, you always, you're the only person that fights for Harrison Ford as Branch Rickey. People were fighting more for Harrison Ford as Han Solo in Force Awakens to be nominated.
Because you love Han Solo. People love him as Han Solo. So that would be cool. But
I think if he should have won, he should have won for Raiders of the Lost Ark. It was nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah.
So that he should have won for Raiders of the Lost Ark. He should have won. He was nominated for Witness. He should have won for Witness.
Yes.
He should have won for Star Wars, which was also nominated for Best Picture.
Oh, very.
American Graffiti, which was also nominated for Best
No,
Picture.
yeah, he's one of those actors.
What Lies Beneath,
He's-
Hollywood Homicide,
He's one of the-
Firewall,
He's one of those actors that you see. The Fugitive.
The Fugitive.
He should have won for The Fugitive.
But who won for The Fugitive?
Well, Tommy Lee Jones won Best Supporting Actor
For The Fugitive.
for The Fugitive and deserved it.
Yes.
And so all right, but I just want to say that I hope Spike Lee, I hope your next movie.
That's what we
is
were
so
talking
good.
about, Spike Lee.
And we went to Harrison Ford from Spike. But no, I hope that Spike Lee.
He took us on a journey, Ted.
I do. I tend to do that.
Okay, continue.
I hope that that Spike Lee's next film, he's given the treatment that they gave to Martin Scorsese. That maybe a
Yes.
few directors come out, give him the award, say, it's
I
about
kind of was
time.
hoping that this year was the year,
Me
but
too.
it wasn't like it went to somebody who didn't deserve it, because it did go to Alfonso Cuarón, who is one of the best filmmakers out there, who did make one of the best directed films of the year,
Yes, one of the best directed
and
films
was
of
the
the
film
year.
that won Best Foreign Language Film.
Yes, so that's true. So he was, and he happens to be the director of, I won't say my favorite, but I'll say that on my list of what I consider great science fiction films, he directed Children of Men.
Which is why I give him a pass for Gravity. Because how much I love Children of Men.
Yeah.
And he also directed my personal favorite Harry Potter film, The Prisoner of Azkaban.
Right, another great movie. So
An excellent film.
Yeah, no, but and so yes, he deserved it. I like that at least Spike Lee got some recognition, and you see the audience was crazy for it.
Yeah.
Everyone's happy that he won. He had a great speech. He was there to party. He was there to win. So I hope that Mr. Lee, I hope that this is only the beginning of some great Academy Awards that you'll win.
I do too. As
Yeah.
long as he doesn't make bad movies like Old Boy and The Sweet Blood of the Jesus.
You know
and,
what?
Miracle at St. Anna.
Some of your best
And,
directors, they don't.
He makes a lot of movies, and then a lot aren't winners. There's a lot of movies he makes that are really interesting artistically, but can be considered questionable by most.
Right.
Chirac being
Yeah, I
one of
didn't
them.
see that.
It's the telling of Lysistrata in modern day Chicago, and it's all done with gangs, and it's all done just like Lysistrata, the Greek fable, and it's Cyclops is Wesley Snipes, and he leads a gang, and then Nick
Yeah.
Cannon leads another gang. It's about all the women go on a sex strike to stop all the violence, and it's being narrated by Samuel L. Jackson. The cast is fantastic. It's a crazy cast. It's a crazy large cast, but not a Best Picture winner. So if he can make more fair on the level of BlacKkKlansman, which in my opinion is his best film since Do the Right Thing, he definitely deserves it.
Spike
But he
Lee
needs
is an
to
artist.
keep hitting that stride.
Not every director can be called an artist.
Yes.
He's an artist, and that happens with artists. Sometimes you hit big, and sometimes but this one is a work of art. The BlacKkKlansman's a work of art.
I love
really,
BlacKkKlansman. It's one of my
Me too.
favorite movies of the year.
Me too. It's
Of last
it's up there, my favorite movies of the year. And Black Panther was a great movie.
It was an excellent movie.
It was an excellent movie. I'm glad it won some awards.
I'm happy
as
it
well.
was nominated, but like I have said, it's not. I loved Black Panther. I'm happy Black Panther was nominated, deserved to be nominated. But if it won Best Picture, I would have been personally upset because of the fact that amazing films that are better superhero films, that like The Dark Knight and Logan, were never even nominated. And yes, they paved the way for Black Panther, but those films are, if you take away all the comic book stuff, they're still like amazing films. And
Okay.
Black Panther is a great, fantastic movie. I love Black Panther. But if you take away the superhero stuff, there isn't as much there.
Okay, all right. I'll say
It
that
is a good
because-
story. I really enjoy the movie. I think the villain's great. The acting's fantastic. I love pretty much everything about Black Panther.
Hey.
But if you compare it to films like Logan and The Dark Knight, doesn't really compare.
I'll give you that. I'll say that. But now for me,
Don't get
for
me
my
wrong, Black Panther is the highest grossing superhero film of all time.
and here's my take on it. I didn't read, I'm a DC Comics fan.
Yes.
So I didn't really read Black Panther.
Yes.
So I went into it, and it was a movie to me. It wasn't really even though Black Panther is a superhero.
Yeah.
You go to Wakanda, you go to this secret place that you don't know about, and it's got jungles, and it's got tribes, and it's got, they have traditions.
Well, yeah, they build a world. They do.
They have their own world, and they
job.
build this beautiful world with strange animals. And to me, that's like a Hollywood type of movie. That's like a Lawrence of Arabia or, one of those sprawling epic films. So that way, I loved it, and I would not have had a problem if it had
Yes,
won
but
Best
films
Picture.
like Logan and The Dark Knight. Logan is a
amazing.
western. It's Shane.
Logan's amazing.
And you have The Dark Knight is Heat. It's one of the greatest crime films ever made.
You know how I feel about the Dark Knight trilogy.
Dark Knight wasn't even nominated.
No, and
Wasn't even nominated.
No, and I thought that Dark Knight Rises should have won so that you would accept the whole trilogy the way they did with Lord of the Rings, where
Yes.
Return of the King won.
Yes.
And you said that the whole trilogy, that was pretty much the whole trilogy won. I felt they should have done that. And Christopher Nolan is a director who isn't getting the recognition he deserves.
Yes.
So I feel that way.
Okay,
But,
we're running low on time. So
Okay,
let's go into our. We both have lists
Yes.
of our favorite, which I tried to say earlier, but you acted like we didn't do it for some reason.
I'm sorry.
You don't have to apologize for everything in the world. We both made lists of the best Picture winners. In our opinion of our favorite Best Picture winners.
Yes.
Our favorite movies that won Best Picture. We both have 5, and we'll go back and forth really quickly, just saying why it's for us one of the best Picture winners.
Okay.
Anything you want to say?
You go first.
Was there anything you want to say about your list? Okay.
About my list? No.
So for our list, there are lists. And both of us really rated these lists on what we consider the most enjoyable, what we go back to watch over and over again, and what we really go into loving about a film. So I guess I'll go first. My first is Return of the King, the final Lord of the Rings. Thanks for laughing at me.
No.
Return of the King, which is one of the best films ever made. Totally, although not my favorite Lord of the Rings film, my personal favorite is still Two Towers. Return of the King is an excellent end, although it ends 87 times.
Yeah,
it's a fantastic end to the trilogy, and I love everything about Return of the King. And it's a film I can watch over and over again, just put on a scene and just get into it, because it's one of the movies that made me love filmmaking in the first place. As a kid, watching those movies just, it completely changed the way I looked at filmmaking. And it's one of the main reasons I'm a filmmaker. So
Awesome.
I love Return of the King.
Okay. My top 5, number 1 is Casablanca. It's a movie
Supposed to go 5-1, but okay.
Oh, I'm supposed to go 5-1?
Yeah, that's how every list has ever worked in the history of lists.
Well, the way this list works, this could be number 5.
Okay.
All right, number 5 is Casablanca. I believe it's a movie ahead of its time. There are still some classic lines to it. Every time it's on, if I watch it, it still gets me. I'm still engulfed by it. I love the movie. Great performances all around, great cinematography.
All right, so my number 4 is Forrest Gump. And like how I said 5 and 4.
Okay.
So I guess we do lists differently. My number 4 is Forrest Gump, the Robert Zemeckis directed film starring Tom Hanks. If you haven't seen Forrest Gump, please show me the box that your parents had you live in as a child. It is a fantastic, fun movie, and again, is one of the reasons why I love movies, and I can watch it over and over again. And how many other restaurant chains are after movies Bubblegum Shrimp Company, you know. So you're number 4 or
Okay.
2 or however.
No,
you're doing?
I'm going number 4. Number 4 is The Departed. I mentioned it before. We talked about The Departed. I don't have to say any more about it. Great performances, great movie, best picture, and I will watch it over and over again.
Okay.
Okay?
My number 3 is Gladiator. I love Gladiator. I can't really say the things I was going to say now. I really love Gladiator. It's a fantastic movie. Russell Crowe is fantastic. It has some of the best directing by Ridley Scott. I love Joaquin Phoenix in the movie. It has some of the most quotable lines. Are you not entertained? I really love Gladiator. So Gladiator is definitely on my list.
Okay. Number 3 for me is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Jack Nicholson, great performance. Great. They took a great book and they made an amazing movie out of it, produced by Michael Douglas, directed by Milos Forman, and a great cast of characters. Won Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor for Jack Nicholson, and Best Actress for Louise Fletcher.
And my number 2 is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. See what he said.
Cool. All right, my number 2 is The Godfather. Francis Coppola, one of his greatest movies. Marlon Brando. What can I say? It's a gangster movie that the gangster movie of all, the mother of all gangster movies is The Godfather. Mm-hmm. And great all around. Love the movie.
My favorite Best Picture winner of all time is my favorite movie of all time, which is The Departed. I can wax poetic about The Departed for like 7 hours, so I'm not going to do it right now. But I love The Departed. The Departed is the best Oscar winner to ever win an Academy Award.
When we saw it in the movies, you wouldn't have, we mentioned Babel before, you would have nothing to do with Babel or any
sucks.
other movie. You would, at that time, you wouldn't have. Okay, so now I go to number 1?
I don't know. Do you?
Yes. Why? Do you?
I just said my number 1.
Oh, that was your number 1, The Departed.
Am I even on the show?
Yes. Okay. My number 1 is Ben-Hur. Ben-Hur was nominated for 12 Academy Awards, won 11, it's my Gladiator movie when I was growing up. Has the actually there are 3 versions of Ben-Hur. There was a 1925 silent movie, then there was one a couple of years ago, right? A few years ago.
Well, Ben-Hur, yes. They remade it a couple of years ago.
And
Great
this
film,
one,
Morgan Freeman.
with Morgan Freeman. This Ben-Hur is this Ben-Hur. They all have the chariot race. This chariot race it's worth it just for that. William Wilder's Best Picture. I loved it. Ben-Hur is absolute. It's a film I can watch over and over again, and all 5 of these films I can watch all the time. Great movies all around.
Do you want to tell them, or you want me to tell them that you switched your 5 and your 1?
I switched my 5 and my 1. My 1 was originally going to be Casablanca, but Casablanca could be my number 5.
And you messed up what I was going to say about Gladiator, because I was going to mention Ben-Hur and I couldn't, because you didn't mention it yet.
I'm sorry. Is there anything you can say now?
Yeah. Well, like how you said about Ben-Hur, Gladiator is my Ben-Hur, and I think that Gladiator took a lot of things from Ben-Hur and put more of a modern day filmmaking spin on it. It is a modern day film with the look and the feel of a Ben-Hur, of a war epic, which is of a gladiator epic, which is movies we don't get anymore at all.
Right.
We don't get those types of movies. So the fact that it was 20 years ago now, but the fact that movie was made even 20 years ago was unheard of. And it has the same scope and scale of Ben-Hur.
Oh, yeah. And it was considered the first gladiator film of the digital age.
Exactly.
Yes.
And it's a fantastic movie, and the effects still look really good. and the acting is fantastic, and maybe there's a better lead.
Didn't they used to call them sandal movies?
Sword and sandal films.
Okay.
Sword because usually they have a sword and they're wearing sandals.
And they're wearing sandals.
Sword and
And
sandal.
like you said, they made a lot of them in the 50s and 60s, and then
They kind of died out. They did, like you said, they remade Ben-Hur 2 years ago, but it was critically and commercial. It was a box office bomb. It was critically panned. It's considered a very bad remake. I have never been able to sit through it.
I couldn't sit through it either.
And it was on Hulu.
Keyword is was.
I don't know if it still is or not. And then we have one more thing we want to talk about. I guess this time we can do more of a discussion
Yeah. Yes.
than just listing things off. And it's movies that were nominated and should have won,
yes.
but didn't win, and the films that did win that year. So
Yes.
do you want to start with
No, you
some
start.
movies?
You start.
Okay, sure. I guess somebody never went to improv with yes and. So number 5, I'll go with 2012, which was when Argo won Best Picture, which I like Argo. Argo's fine. It's not amazing. It's good. I don't think it's held up amazingly, but I enjoy Argo. But also came out that year was Django Unchained,
Yes.
which is one of, if not the best Quentin Tarantino movie, with amazing performances. Christoph Waltz won for Best Supporting Actor. It won Best Screenplay. And I honestly think that Django Unchained was the best picture. It brought back Westerns in a way that didn't happen for years.
Yes.
We wouldn't have a mini resurgence in Westerns if it wasn't for films like Django Unchained and True Grit, and then Hateful Eight, which was his follow-up, which wasn't as good, but I still enjoy it, but it's a very different kind of movie than Django Unchained. But I love Django Unchained.
All right, me too. And I feel like you say it revolutionized the westerns.
Yes.
It did. It
It
made them.
revolutionized it Tarantinoized.
Yeah, Tarantinoized. Okay. What I did here was I didn't. I have the movies that the non-winners, but I didn't write what movie won that year.
Huh? You said you were going to.
I'm sorry, I didn't. Okay. All right. Here's my number 5. I have it. The movie that won was West Side Story. The movie I picked was The Hustler. And I would watch The Hustler over West Side Story any day.
And now Mom's going to yell at you when you get home.
It's okay. It's okay.
I love The Hustler. The Hustler is one of my favorite movies of all time. It is a fantastic movie. Just the way I've never had another movie show pool in that way and make it so interesting and fun to watch.
And Jackie Gleason was just awesome in it. And Paul Newman, the acting all around is great. George C. Scott is in it. And it's a great movie. And Paul Newman was robbed. He didn't get the Academy Award for The Hustler, but many years later he got it for The Color of Money, which was a sequel to The Hustler. So
Yes.
he got it as Fast Eddie. So
Yes, I love The Hustler. Another film I have that is Jerry Maguire should have won over The English Patient. And the only thing I have to say about that is, who remembers The English Patient?
not me.
That's it. Jerry Maguire is one of the most quoted movies who people constantly still say. Movie came out in 1996. People still say, show me the money. It was a 25-year-old movie. People still say, show me the money. People still say, you had me at hello. You complete me. There's a lot of help me, help you. It's a constantly quoted movie. It's a great film. It's one of Tom Cruise's best performances. I think he should have won for that movie. I don't think he might have been nominated. I don't think he was nominated. I think he was just nominated for Magnolia. I'm not entirely sure. But that was a film that definitely should have won Best Picture.
Yes, it was. It definitely was. Jerry Maguire, show me the money. What?
I'm waiting for you to talk.
I know. I'm trying to find the movie. You know that.
All right, well, I'm running out of time here.
I know we are. Let me just. Treasure of the Sierra Madre. Okay. Don't worry. All right, here I'll give you one. Giant. Giant is a
My Giant, Billy Crystal.
no Giant with James Dean, Rock Hudson, and
Billy Crystal.
yeah, Billy Crystal. He was the baby in it. Anyway, Around the World in 80 Days won, and Giant was a better movie. It's still on all the time. It was James Dean's final film, the last film. As a matter of fact, he passed away before it was released. So I say that Giant over Around the World in 80 Days was remade, but who cares?
Nobody really.
It's like you were saying. It's like another. It's like a theme park ride.
Yeah, it really is. I'm honestly surprised there isn't another World in 80 Days ride. My next film would be Saving Private Ryan in 1999. Should have won Best Picture, but instead Shakespeare in Love won Best Picture. Or it was 1998, not 1999. 1998. And Saving Private Ryan is considered one of the greatest World War II films of all time.
Right.
And Shakespeare in Love is not talked about at all.
Yeah.
Nobody talks about Shakespeare in Love.
No, I don't even watch it. I watched it once. It wasn't that big of a deal.
No, it wasn't that big of a deal. Nobody really cares about Shakespeare in Love at all.
Yes.
And then we have, for my next one, we have Social Network and Toy Story 3 should have won in 2010. Either
Okay.
of the films should have won in 2010. But instead, The King's Speech won, which nobody talks about.
Yeah, right.
And nobody cares about at all.
No, go ahead. You have one more?
Yes, I have one more, and then I have to step
You have
out.
to leave. And
And it's 1990. Dances with Wolves won Best Picture.
okay.
Goodfellas should have won Best
Yes.
Picture that year.
Yes.
Goodfellas should have won Best Picture. Goodfellas is one of the best films ever made. It's Martin Scorsese. It's fantastic. And I definitely think it should have won Best Picture.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. It's still remembered. It's still. And the other movie, how often do you see it? You know.
Yeah, exactly.
It should have won. And I, as a matter of fact, a few years back, I was like, Goodfellas didn't win? You know?
Exactly.
Like,
No, you assume that Goodfellas won.
Right.
You assume Goodfellas won.
You assume
You
some of
assume
these-
Goodfellas won. Goodfellas is still talked about. It's still loved. It is played all the time. Dances with Wolves, some people still enjoy it. A lot of people don't feel the same way for Dances with Wolves that they did, almost 30 years ago. They don't.
Yeah, right.
They don't.
I don't feel the same about Kramer versus Kramer as I did
Exactly.
when it first came out.
Exactly. I completely agree.
You do?
I completely
Have
agree.
you ever seen Kramer versus Kramer?
Mostly. I don't think I've seen the entire thing, but I've seen enough. I get the idea. I get it.
And you know what movie was nominated the year of Kramer versus Kramer?
I
and
don't.
Did not win?
I do not.
Apocalypse Now.
Oh my God!
Apocalypse Now. And it didn't win. Kramer versus Kramer won over. And Apocalypse Now is considered on lists as one of the greatest films ever made. It is.
I agree.
So-
It's one of the best films ever made. It's your favorite movie of all time.
It's one of my favorite movies.
It's your favorite movie of all time.
I'm going. It's
You've
one
fallen
of
asleep to that movie more than any other movie.
them. No, I don't think so.
Well,
Hey.
unfortunately, this has been great.
This has been great.
I have to go.
Ryan Rizzuti, my host, and
My host. We didn't get to talk about our special announcement, but I think we can announce it on the show next week.
all right, we'll announce
We have a
it.
special announcement next week. We're going to announce on the show.
Big surprise on the
Big
show.
surprise on the show next week. I'll see you guys next week. You're going to close out the show?
I'm going to close out the show. It was. It's always fun. Always
Always
a
a
pleasure.
pleasure.
Always a pleasure.
See you next
And
week.
see you next week. Ryan Rizzuti, ladies and gentlemen. Ryan Rizzuti. Okay, let me get right in the center here with this on top of my head. And we'll talk about some more. I mentioned The Godfather before, and I'd also like to tell you that it's still a great book. The first Godfather movie and the book Godfather, to me, one, you can't say one is better than, because a lot of people always say, oh, the book's always better. The book. Not in this case. I would say, in this case, the movie has a lot of pluses to it, and the book also has, there's pros and cons to both of them. Like the Corleone family is, in the movie, it's referred to how weak, that they're weaker now. They're not as strong as they used to be in the end of the movie. Well, in the end of the book, you find out a lot more. You find out how Michael made it from Sicily, and he came back into this country, and how nobody was looking for him for the murders of the police captain, McCluskey, or for Sollozzo. So that's a great book. I recommend that. I highly recommend that you read the Godfather book. I'd like to talk about, I had written a list before of a couple other non-winners. I don't know the years that they came out or what the other movies were, but Treasure of the Sierra Madre, which was John Huston film. Great film. Didn't win Best Picture. Is still around with Humphrey Bogart. Walter Huston won Best Supporting Actor for it. And it has one of the famous lines of badges. We don't have to show you any badges. You know, if you want the Federales, where are your badges? And not a very good Humphrey Bogart, but that one. And I love Billy Wilder, big Billy Wilder fan. Witness for the Prosecution. Witness for the Prosecution was an Agatha Christie story, and it has Tyrone Power, it has Marlene Dietrich. One of my all-time favorite actors is what's his name again? You could tell me. Charles Lawton and his wife Elsa Lanchester are in it. An amazing, great movie. I believe I might have even shown the trailer in a past episode. I might have shown the trailer of Witness for the Prosecution. Great. It was a non-winner. It didn't win, but Billy Wilder movie. Love Billy Wilder. Sunset Boulevard. Stalag 17, which was never nominated but did win. It won Best Supporting Actor for William Holden in Stalag 17. And Billy Wilder is one of those directors. A lot of times, I go for the director. That's why I was talking about Spike Lee earlier. I go for the director, and I go for like if a particular director made a film, I'm like, all right, that's, you know, I'm gonna go check it out because that director usually does good work. John Huston used to take a lot of books, classic novels, and turn them into movies. Billy Wilder had magic. Some Like It Hot is considered by American Film Institute as the #1 comedy. And I disagree because I like Stalag 17, which people may say is a more serious film, but it has a lot of comedy to it as well. And but Billy Wilder film being the #1 comedy, to me that's amazing. That's great. I also I'd like to mention some other honorable mention for Best Picture movies that were not on our list, but are movies that still hold up. And Annie Hall, In the Heat of the Night, with Sidney Poitier and Rod Steiger, great film. Gandhi, The Sting, with Paul Newman and Robert Redford. Fun movie, The Sting. It's has a little bit of everything. It has action, it has comedy, it has suspense. And then I'm going to end with The Last Emperor, which was about the last emperor of China and was actually filmed in the Forbidden City in China. And this is an amazing movie with Peter O'Toole. It had an Italian director, Italian film crew, and they went to the Forbidden City and made The Last Emperor. I saw it many years ago on the big screen. I loved it. And okay, I lied. I said that was my final. My final is Alfred Hitchcock. Never won an Academy Award for Best Director, but one of his movies won for Best Picture, Rebecca, with Joan Fontaine and Laurence Olivier, and many a wonderful cast. Rebecca is a great film. It's not your typical Alfred Hitchcock film, but they took the novel and he put it on the screen in glorious black and white and almost page for page from the novel. Anyway, you've been a great audience. Thank you. This has been Benny TV with Benny Rizzuti and Ryan Rizzuti, who was here a little while ago. Thanks for watching. Next week, big surprise. Don't forget, I'll be doing the roast in 2 weeks, and I'll show you that flyer in 2 weeks, the roast of Keith Fitz. Have a great week, everybody. Thanks. Don't go away. Laughter Saves Lives Live is next.